Hello. Today I have an interesting project, a project which is based on my optional anthropology. So, when it comes to anthropology, one serious issue I faced was that anthropology is basically about simple societies, and in our context, they are by and large tribes. So, it is necessary that when you have a necessary grasp of the various tribes in India, it definitely gives you an edge. And like with any optional, if you use the Indian examples in the paper one and paper one in the wider context of paper two, it will be of great help. But the issue is, I'm not very much literate with good number of tribes in India. I only confined myself to few similar repetitive exams given in the standard books. So I wasn't finding myself very familiar with good number of tribes, which is why I thought of working on tribes for about 10 days, and I'll be listing out the important tribes, certain specific socioeconomic characteristics, linking them with the various topics in paper 1, the 2.1 to 3, 2.1 to 6, from marriage, family, kinship, political organization, economic organization, religion, anthropological thought, etc. And of course, using them properly, in paper two as well, especially in the areas where we discuss the tribal problems, etc. The general profile of tribal problems, FR, etc. So I thought of taking specific tribes and linking them with every most of the topics in the syllabus. Of course, not all tribes reckon equally with majority of the topics. For example, if you take in Gonds, you have Muria Gonds. Muria Gonds, the thing which is very specific and special about them is Ghotuls. So it is better if you stress Murias, you'll be quoting more vividly when you write about this particular social institution rather than other things. So, but overall, what I thought was I should be having considerable number of examples for almost every social institution for every topic in the syllabus, which is why I thought I'll just work on various tribes and see how it goes. So I first started with AP, and I'll discuss the various tribes certain important aspects with state-wise. I was doing state-wise study so that I have good number of example, locational memory, specific problems so that I can quote more vividly. And one more thing is that when the number of sources are limited, the chance for providing good value addition or unique value addition is less. So I think this is one area which provides ample scope for providing a very specific value addition. So let's see how it goes. Today I was just seeing the various types in AP and TS, a brief profile and certain 3 to 4 important tribes, and then the specific programs in AP and TS over a period of time with respect to tribes, certain things which worked out, certain issues. This is the overall profile. Very brief, we shall rush through it. Okay. So tribes are mostly concentrated in about 5 to 6 districts only, of AP and TS. Mostly in the hilly areas of the Deccan Plateau and in the margins of Godavari and Krishna. So this is AP. Here, this is largely with respect to TS and AP common borders, etc. along the Nalamala, that area. Okay. And in AP and TS, there are about 12 PVTGs. This is very important. Good number of PVTGs, and they constitute to about 6% of the entire tribal population in India. Okay, and as you know, AP and TS districts are also part of fifth schedule, and about 41 percentage of tribes in AP and TS are Sugalis, and of course, like most of the tribals in AP and TS are predominantly rural, and about 98% of Gonds in living in these two states are predominantly rural. And as I said, they are occupied mostly in 5 to 6 districts, and 98% of them are Hindus. Most of them have actually assimilated. Okay, right? There are three schools: assimilation, integration, and isolation. most of them over a period of time have already been isolated, so they are very familiar with the customs of the local non-tribals as well. So this is the big picture about the number of tribes in these areas. Let's now go for a specific overview. So the most prominent tribes in AP and TS are Chenchus, Gonds, Kondaritis. I thought of doing a map, but at least from next video I'll try to go with a map. Okay, let's start with Chenchus. Chenchus are very famous because we read with respect to them in our environment as well. Okay, they are hugely present in Nagarjuna Sagar, NSTR, Nagarjuna Sagar Tiger Reserve. Okay, this is a part of this is the largest tiger reserve in India, and this was bifurcated into NSTR and Amrabad. So this Amrabad is a part of TS Telangana. So in both these TRs we have, okay, in the vicinity we have Chenchus. Okay. So they are found along Nallamala forest in the south, and these districts not much needed. Predominantly Chenchus are food gathering tribes. They are still in the stage of food gathering, and they have their primary nourishment from roots, basically vegetarian people. Okay, very less of non-veg. So roots, fibers, honey, etc. And the most important person who worked on tribes in AP and Telangana, then the United AP, was Hemmendorf. Okay, so we read about Hemmendorf. You can quote Hemmendorf for almost any tribe in AP and TS, particularly Chenchus, Kondaritis, and the other person. I forgot the name. Chenchus, Kondaritis, and Gonds. You can quote him very vividly, Hemmendorf. So what Hemmendorf opines is that he thinks Chenchus as part of Stone Age continuity, that they have been here since the Stone Age and are a replica of certain practices which Stone Age man used to regularly perform. Okay, that is Hemmendorf's hypothesis. And some part of Chinchus have gone and settled in the nearby tribes, and they are completely assimilated. And important point is we do not very frequently listen to or hear this word called Vedoid racial stock. So Chenchus and Kondaritis both belong to the Vedoid racial stock, which have their origins along Sri Lanka. Okay, and they are exogamous totemic clans. You can quote them in this as well in your marriage and family as well, and their totem being tiger. Okay, so in NSTR, tiger easily relatable. And quite interestingly, they have nuclear family as their primary grouping. It is said that male and female by and large have equal rights, but when it comes to matters of distribution of property, etc., it is basically the man has the final say or an edge. He has an edge, but it doesn't mean that woman is completely neglected or that she is not heard. There is a certain amount degree of equality. They are not totally patriarchal like the one in the plains. Okay, and one other interesting, I don't think we can quote it anywhere, but interestingly, it is said that Chenchus trust the bonds which are formed by marriage more than their own blood relatives. So a Chenchu will trust his brother-in-law more than his own brother. Interesting. And it is very much seen in the process that when they hunt, they will try to go more with their brother-in-law rather than his own brother. Interesting. So preferential cross cousin marriages are preferred by and large, which is why they call their father maternal uncle as father-in-law directly as Mavaya. Okay. Polygyny is allowed, but the divorced woman cannot remarry. Okay, and the marriage bond too is not very tight, which is why divorce too is easy, separation is easy, and it does not require any formal contract. Or if I want to separate, cool. It's not very tedious or it's not very emotional and strenuous as with the people in the plains. And in political organization, you can quote this man the sort of institution called Peddamanishi. So Peddamanishi is one who represents or is sort of a head of Chenchus when Chenchus are transacting on any critical issues with the outsiders, which is the non-tribals or tribals of our area. So, and one more thing, in tribal leadership itself, it is by and large egalitarian in the sense that Pedda Manishi does not have any specific privileges over others. He's just like CM in the sense that he's just one among the ministers, that's all. He doesn't have any specific additional privileges. And by and large, the institution of Pedda Manishi is hereditary. But in certain cases, they can go with election as well when there is no righteous heir, etc. And they still have their own tribal gods, and the famous tribal god with respect to Chenchus is Garel Marisamma. She is the one who has control over their fundamental aspects of life, which is food and game. They also are said to believe in a god known as Sky God or Bhagavan. With respect to the religion, they have a very simple religion, so they don't have the complex philosophies of karma, dharma, reincarnation, etc. But they think that there is something called soul, sort of soul, which comes back. God, if a person dies, it means that his soul is taken away by God, and at some point, the soul comes back. And the soul comes back in the sense that in other form it comes back. So, but they don't link or relate it to karma, etc. In Hinduism also we have a similar philosophy, but we relate it to karma, rina, etc. Right? They don't have such complex philosophies. They are by and large vegetarians, but the problem with being purely vegetarian is that it has, of late, it has seriously reflected in malnourishment, malnutrition, etc. Okay. And records say that they began domestication of cow, dog, etc. Not so significant with us. So you can do the other research with respect to malnutrition. Tribals basically have these three disease syndrome, right? Burden of three diseases. So you can see the impact of malnutrition on Chenchu. So we can quote them as well in our when we write an answer on tribal health, tribal problems. Okay, we'll revise all of them once again, but let's now go to Gonds. Gonds we'll see not just as part of AP but in general. Gonds are about 1.3 crore. This is as per 2011 census. 1.3 crore, and many of them are in Madhya Pradesh, AP, and Maharashtra, as you know. Of course, Gonds are not a uniform race in the sense that there are different kinds of Gonds, different names of Gonds across different regions. Okay, in AP and Maharashtra, they are known as Rajgonds or Koiturs. Let's see some various sets or segments in Gonds. One is Hill Marias. Hilmerias live along this Chhattisgarh Bastar region. Okay, they perform slash and point technique, and then there is Bisonhorn Marias. So their names are because of a certain kind of hat they keep during their marriage rituals. Okay, I think it belongs to some animal, which is why they are known as Bisonhorns, based on the headgear that they wear. Like Nagas, you also have some headgear, right? Sort of. So based on the headgear they are known as Bishnoi Marias. And these are the most famous ones. Muria Gonds, they are the relatively advanced ones of all the Gonds. They are very famous for our previous year question known as youth dormitory or Ghotuls, where the young or the youth are socialized by the community. You'll read more about it in Nadim Hassan, you can see there. And their dwellings are also compact dwellings wherein compact, so people live very closely with small huts and 5 to 6 huts at a point, so sort of hamlets. They cultivate rice and they are very well settled compared to other Gonds. And then we have Koyas. So Koyas are also part of Gonds. They live in Andhra and speak mostly Telugu, and they are victims of detribalization, which we will read in Kaka report and also in Nadim Hussain. Detribalization, so they suffered a lot because of loss of land, and so they are made non-tribals neither they enjoy what you call certain privileges given to tribes, nor they are completely detribalized. So they have corresponding issues. Next, we have Rajgons. Rajgons you can quote only for this system, or this system in kinship known as four. They have four phratries. You can just quote them for that. And Rajgons also have non-Gons. Okay, but each individual Gond clan is characterized by a lineage of pradhans. So there are certain non-Gons or pradhans who keep on telling about, you see, the history of Gonds, etc. I think sort of Banjaras, not Banjaras. We have a 2016 previous year question, right? And 2015. So they are chroniclers. So they keep on telling the family history, etc. So for a Gond, chroniclers are non-Gonds. Pradhans and chroniclers are non-Gonds. They have this culture. And Kondareddy is basically, they are found along East Godavari and Vedavid racial stock. Okay, and they are not so what I say assimilated as Gonds. So whenever someone tries to, okay, adapt them or else influence them, they go deeper into the forest. They go deeper into the forest, deeper into in search of isolation. But still, since the density of population is very high in states of AP, etc., by and large, many of them have been, okay. However, how much ever they wanted to resist, they have been assimilated as of now, mostly. They are endogamous, okay, and they excommunicate any person who go for an exogamy. However, here there are certain restrictions. For example, if someone marries a Kapu, this is also a sort of tribe, not the BC Kapu, okay, or Jangams, they are tolerated, but anyone elsewhere is not tolerated, or inter-clan marriages are strictly not tolerated. But of late, a new trend is that if there is an inter-clan marriage and if they pay some fine, they are allowed. Okay, the excommunication is tolerated. So Hammondorf comments upon it. Hammondorf says that these are the signs of clan losing its importance. So clan happens to be a very serious institution which dictates the way one has to marry, one has to conduct, okay, interfamily affairs, etc. But the significance of clan is losing over a period of time, and this can be quoted. So a very good example for us in the relevance of marriage in what you call relevance of marriage family in tribal societies. We read less of it, and then of course we can quote it in the regular marriage family as well. So they've got shamans as usual, and they use slash and burn using a particular axe known as podu. We have podu agriculture, right? So slash and burn, and that axe is known as podu. So tribals, their problems with assimilation of tribals in AP and TS are by and large the same, and they are marked by a mix of rebellion and compromise. See, a good phrase, you can use it straight away. So just like with Santhals, etc., we have a rebellion, then there's a compromise, because the British, or in this case the Nizam, they understand that tribals need special arrangements, which is not similar to the rest of the people. So there will be a compromise that they strike. So the most famous rebellion in this area is the 1879 Rampa rebellion against a Mansabdar of the Rampa district. That's primarily because of high rents. Okay. Then one very good scheme is known as a special scheme for Gond teachers, wherein special officers were deputed, land was allotted for Gond education, etc. So when I went through the evolution of government efforts, what I saw was from 1943 till 1952, they were very progressive. Post 1952, they were regressive again. So, and then since 1960, they kept on improving. So this is the trend. So if someone is writing for ABPSC, this is of some help, but otherwise not very much needed. So there was a special committee. This is something very important. We have a committee on special purpose tribal blocks by Elvin. This is not very much quoted, so we can quote it in terms of schemes for government, etc. We can quote few recommendations. And this Elvin committee has recommended multi-purpose project blocks, okay, also known as tribal development blocks. So you need a block base. For example, if there is huge good number of tribal population here, take this as a block and develop it. Give it special privileges. That is what this says. And it has been implemented since third 5-year plan, and of course AP has been a beneficiary. And AP and TS are very famous for this particular development known as ITDA. ITDA is a sort of block based development. It was introduced in 1977. One of the very successful programs in tribal development across India. So, what they do in ITDA, they take a block, allocate special finances, special officers, young recruits usually, who take care of the overall comprehensive development of tribals. They provide minor irrigation, they provide electricity, which is in tune with developmental requirements of tribals. And one more specific thing is the Gramin Vidya Vikas Kendras. So the education in ITDA around and surrounding areas, they took a participatory approach, and this was quite successful. There are other things like Vana Samrakshan Samiti and Janabhumi which are not of great importance. So you can remember ITDA and one special scheme of ITDA which is GVVK. Okay, next. Land issues. So primarily issues in most of the tribal areas are about land. And in Andhra and Telangana, this has led to Naxalism as well. Naxalism began in Srikakulam district in this area. Okay. So non-tribals try to get the land of tribals in very innovative and creative ways, like marrying a non-tribal girl. Okay, and this is very important. You see, tribes have this custom. They named it specially, or in Telugu we call it Nestam. Nestam means a friend. So tribals enter into a bond of friendship with non-tribals enter into a bond of friendship with tribes, but expecting some pecuniary benefits. And in this respect, that is land. So they enter into a contract. Number one, and they try to get them into a project and they try to exploit them. But usually a tribal thinks that it is all fair, and though he is subject to exploitation, he goes to any extent, and even with the government employees, he says that this is my project. All of that in order to save the bond of friendship. But what some reports say is that this friendship was for certain benefits. Okay, purchasing land in the name of tribal servants. Loan default is also one of the big reason why tribals lose their land, shifting cultivation, and mining also disposes lands to several tribals. And with respect to mining, there is one brilliant judgment. We quote it very much in our answers, which is the Samata judgment. So, the Samata judgment is about transfer of lands from tribals to non-tribals. And Samata judgment clearly said that no, you cannot transfer tribal land to non-tribal so easily, and it gave certain guidelines. Some important guidelines are government forest and tribal lands can't be leased to non-tribals or for private industries. So this is a strict no. Okay, mining can be done only by government, and it asks them to get a national law on the resources available in the tribal districts, and the 20% of mining profits should go for development infrastructure. Do you recollect any scheme? Okay, we have a scheme, right? I think Pradhan Mantri Khanija Kshetra something. We have a scheme on these lines which came after it. It's part of MMDR, I think, right? Okay, just refer. I forgot it. So this is in brief about the three important tribes, certain aspects which we can quote in various parts of various parts of paper 1 and paper 2. So in a nutshell, 12 PVTGs were of 6% population, and Sugalis are a tribe in AP. First, Chenchus, they have totems, tiger as totem, they belong to Vedoid racial stock, and Hemendorf considers them to be the continuity of Stone Age. They are present along Nallamalla, NSTR, Amrabad, Tiger Reserve, etc. They have exogamic totemic clans. Okay, relatives by marriage are preferred over relatives by blood. So next, polygyny is allowed but monogamy is favored. Okay, there is this institution called Pedda Manishi, which we can quote in political anthropology. Garel Marisama, tribal god. This is one thing which can quote in tribal religion. Vegetarian diet, tribal problems, issues related to malnourishment, etc. Gonds, the various types of gonds. Okay, remember the names. Next, Koyas are Nepi and Muria for youth dormitory. Rajgons, remember them for four phratries. Kondareddy are a part of Veda racial stock. They have an endogamous, that's an easy pointer. So slash and burn, Podu, cool. Assimilation, remember the committee's names. Third five-year plan is important. 1977 ITD is important. GBVK is important. Okay. Land issues, listen to, okay, keep note of certain creative ways in which all of them, most of them are discussed in Nadim Hussain, but you can, this is a way of cementing the Nadim Hussain knowledge. So this is all about tribes in APNTS. Later on we'll do other modules as well.